Hi everyone, it's Margaret Manning here, and welcome to Mornings with 60 and Me. Today is Thursday, it's August 11th. Hope that your day is starting well. I want to take this moment to thank everyone who's here, to welcome you to Mornings with 60 and Me. This is our chance every day to get together, to just sit down, have a cup of tea, and talk about what's going on in the wider world. Lots of activity, very complex times that we're living in. But thank you for being here. I really appreciate your support. And if you want to get these news bulletins first, just go to 60andme.com/mornings, and you'll get an alert when the news is released first. So I'm having my cup of tea this morning. I'm having a very simple green tea. It's one of my favorites, and I hope you've got a drink and you're sitting down relaxed, and let's bring you up to speed on what's going on around the world. So in South America, there's a lot of activity around people speaking out to try to remove their current leaders. There's some pretty dire situations in Brazil and in Venezuela and other places. But in Brazil yesterday, the Senate there voted to take their current president, her name is Rousseff, to court. They got enough votes to do that, and now she's basically fighting for her political life. In Venezuela, the people are also protesting against their president, it's Maduro, and they have to get a lot more signatures in the next phase of their battle to remove him. But the situation there is desperate. The economic and political environment is really on a knife's edge, and it's really important that these issues get resolved in those parts of the world. As always, it's the citizens, the ordinary people who are suffering. So I hope that gets resolved. In France, just an interesting story is that despite the attacks this year in Paris and in Nice, the annual pilgrimage to Lourdes, a city in the south of France, is going to continue. And this every year, pilgrims go to this city and celebrate the Festival of the Assumption. I think it's on August the 15th. It's fairly soon. But they decided that they're going to go ahead with this event, even though there have been so many terrorist attacks in France. And, people were interviewed and simply saying that terrorism should not affect our lives. And of course, these people have great faith, and they want to be there in Lourdes for this important event. So that's going to happen. In Turkey, a little bit of follow-up from the meeting that President Erdogan had with Vladimir Putin from Russia is that they, of course, have become good friends again. And since Turkey is a member of NATO, a NATO spokesman felt it is important to remind them, Turkey that is, that they are still a member of NATO and have obligations and commitments to that partnership. So, Turkey is kind of in between two places right now, trying to benefit from relationships with both. And so that's the update from Turkey. In Portugal, I just wanted to give you a quick update on this. I mentioned yesterday that there were huge fires everywhere, and they continue, over 100 around Porto and other places in the north of Portugal. But yesterday, fires also broke out on the island of Madeira. And Madeira is a beautiful island and very wooded, especially in the southern part. And fires have broken out there. Thousands have been evacuated. There was a 5-star hotel that was burned to the ground. And, they think some of these fires might have been set on purpose, which makes it even worse. But, fires are really impacting that part of the world. And also, fires have broken out today in the south of France. I just heard that on the news. And down in Marseille, which is in the south, they've actually evacuated hundreds of people. So hot weather, big fire, big winds really affect that part of the world. And of course in the States as well. I hope the California fires have been got under control. I haven't checked recently, but that's, it's a worry everywhere. So quick update on Syria. The situation, as I mentioned yesterday, is very, very drastic. Citizens are without water. Very, very hot. But the Russian and government troops have agreed today that starting tomorrow, Friday, there'll be a 3-hour window of opportunity where there'll be no fighting, and they'll allow humanitarian aid into Syria. into Aleppo, into Aleppo. This is one big city, second largest city in Syria, that is just the focus of a big battle right now between the government forces and the rebel forces. So, in terms of Olympics, I'm going to let you go and do your checking on the Olympics today. There were so many activities yesterday, so many gold medals and fantastic, performances that I think I'll let you check on your own results there that you're interested in. But I will give you one feel-good story about the Olympics. And I just think these are such beautiful stories. Because behind every person that's competing there is a father, a mother, a family, friends, and not all of them get to be with their loved one as they compete in the Olympics. So this story is about an Uber driver, a taxi driver, who had a son who is competing in Rio, and he was driving his normal fare, maybe $20, and he was taking a woman who had missed her flight. Her name was Liz Wilcox, and she had missed her flight and was back in the taxi trying to regroup. She works for a travel company that deals with helping patients get medical help. So she has a good heart to start with. But anyway, she started chatting with this man and started talking about his son Daryl, who is competing at the Olympics, and how proud he was as a dad, and of course that he couldn't go to be there. He was not wealthy enough and had to work. So Liz jumped out of the taxi and said, I'm going to work on some things. So she went off and tried to start a GoFundMe project. And it turns out that there are probably, tens of people asking for help getting to the Olympics, asking for money. But she was persistent, and she raised about $12,000 for this gentleman, and Ellis Hill is his name, and he is off to visit his son. His son is Daryl is his son. He is in the 15th of August, I think, shot put. Anyway, so his dad's going to get to see him perform, and Liz was the savior of the day. And the Olympics are full of these wonderful stories. So it's great that this man is going to get to see his son perform at the Olympics on the 15th of August, and his son's roommates arranged for a hotel for him to stay at, and everyone's pulling together. As I've said before, the Olympics for me is a time where it's just everyone gets to be kind, get to be humans, and respect each other for some common values. So that's a great story. I really love that one. And there's another great feel-good story from the Olympics by a man called Massimo Bottura. He is Italian, and he's a chef. He's a Michelin-starred chef. So he is one of these rare people in the world who has won an award for his abilities as a chef. And he decided a few years ago to start a group called Food for Soul. And this is a charity that really goes around the world trying to educate people about recycling food, reusing food. And as you can imagine, at the Rio Olympics, there is a lot of leftover food, a lot of waste. So he has called on his other chef friends from around the world and said, let's get together and do something at the Olympics to help recycle some of this wasted, extra food, not waste food, but extra food, and get it to the people who need it. So he is now assisting people in need in Rio. He and his colleagues are preparing about 5,000 meals a day for the people living in the poorer areas of Rio. And they're projecting, this number is amazing, they're projecting to recover 12 tons of food, extra food, during the Olympics, and getting into the mouths and stomachs of people who are not so well off. So that's great. That's Massimo Bottura and his other chefs from around the world. Everyone's stepping up to help and to show some humanity and charity at the Olympic Games. So that's another really cool story. So I hope that you're all doing good with these stories. If you've got any ideas for topics you'd like me to talk about, feel free to email or put notes in the section below, and we'll cover them. But these are just things that I think add another dimension to the news. So, final story today is one that I saw in a different context. It was about first jobs. Do you remember your first job? Well, some folks on Twitter started a campaign called Seven First Jobs, and celebrities from all over the world jumped in to say what their first jobs were. And the conversation was about how, we all start pretty much in the same place. Babysitting, working in an office, or, just some very low paid job as we're 16, 17 years old. But anyway, people jumped in. So Ellen DeGeneres, for example, the TV star, said that she was a potato peeler. And she was also an exotic dancer before she went on to be a talk show host. And Buzz Aldrin, who is one of the world's best, famous astronauts, says he was a dishwasher, a camp counselor, and of course he was an astronaut. And now he's a speaker and author. But so I remembered actually, though, that 60andMe was actually the first to ask this question. And we had an article published on Huffington Post and also on 60andMe. And I did a shout out to our community. And I said, what were your first jobs? And honestly, they were hilarious. Well, not hilarious, because at the time, I'm sure that we took them all very seriously. And they were our first money-making jobs. But some of them were just great, like Kathy. This is a funny one. Kathy was a gift wrapper in a retail store, and she said she hated it. And she especially hated people who bought umbrellas and made her wrap them. She was a gift wrapper, so she hated wrapping umbrellas. I can imagine. But, Jen said she was an ice cream dipper. Dee picked apples and made cider. Andy worked as an egg picker. And she said that in the winter, her hands got so cold that she had to wear gloves. They were like the eggs were frozen. Can imagine that job. People were sales clerks, retail clerks, babysitters, lots of babysitters. One lady, her name was, what was her name? I think it was Carly. Yeah, Carly said she was an A&W car hop. And we talked about that the other day, where people would wear those roller skates and deliver huge mugs of ice cream floats to the cars. Do you remember? And anyway, but our jobs were very interesting because we were obviously in a different time zone there. But I just thought it was really fun to make a comparison as to what celebrities did for their first jobs and what we did. I think it's a really, it's just another thing about 60andMe that I love, that we have perspective. We've done things in our lives that were just so interesting, and we've seen the change. We've seen things evolve. But people are still doing, these jobs to start off. So, let's hope that continues. Teaches a lot of good lessons. So, I would like now to feature our Woman of the Day. And do you remember I asked if you are a person who's done something cool in their 60s, doesn't have to be dramatic, just something you did that you wanted to do, that you loved, to leave your name and just your details, 2 or 3 sentences. And every day I'll choose someone, just give them a shout out. And congratulate them for being just bold and brave to do what they want. So today, I would like you to meet Barbara Sutton. Now, Barbara is only 56. She's a baby. She's only 56. But she wrote that she was on 60andMe because she was trying to get ready for her 60s. And she said, her daughters are grown. She now feels like it's time to do something different with her life. She has a desire to travel and wants to spend the next year getting her passport, paying off her debts, and making plans to travel around the world. And I just, she lives in Conyers in Georgia, which is a suburb of Atlanta. And Barbara, I just want to say to you, thank you for telling us about your dream, because that's what happens in your 60s. You get to look at your life through the lens of possibility and what's possible, what you can do now that you've done your job as a mom. You've obviously lived a full and complex life, and now in your 60s, you're going to do something great. So congratulations on taking that position. Hope that all things work out for you as planned. And if you see Barbara's comments here, folks, just give her a shout out and encourage her from the other side, from the other side of 60. So that's our news from internationally and abroad today. I hope that you've enjoyed the perspective. I'd like to welcome you all again to 60 and Mornings with 60andMe. Go up to 60andme.com/mornings to get the news first, and tell a friend. Tell somebody what you do every morning here and what we're offering to women over 60. It'd be really wonderful to have your support. And if you've got a story to tell, leave it in the section below. I'd love to feature you. So my question for today is, and it goes back to the story about jobs. I would just like to know, what were your first 3 jobs? Just leave your comments in the section below. We can compare notes, have a laugh, and remember those times in our life. So what were the first 3 jobs that you did? Look forward to reading your comments and having a conversation with everyone. Have a fabulous Thursday, and I will see you all again tomorrow here on Mornings with 60 and Me. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.